Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia and thank you so much for being here. Okay, in today's video, I know it's April. Happy April 2024. But I wanted to start this YouTube channel in January and then y'all, I got so nervous. I was way too scared. And then I think I just started binge reading books more for quantity over quality because I don't know, I was just so nervous about starting a YouTube channel. I know all of this is just, it sounds ridiculous. And out of all of those books that I read, I didn't even post any reading vlogs. And then in February, there was one of the books that I read that I posted the vlog for, and I hate that vlog. It's my very first video. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so nervous, but I wanted to start this channel in January and I read 16 books. Now, they weren't all the greatest books and I was just binging them and not really taking them in and trying to enjoy them. I was just trying to get my count up in my head. I don't know. I was just competing with myself because I was just so nervous about starting a YouTube channel and I thought, let me just consume myself with reading and then we'll just see where we go from here. So I know it's April right now, but I wanted to go ahead and do all of my monthly wrap-ups. So today I wanted to talk to y'all about the 16 books that I read in January. Also, I will just add that I typically read between 6 to 8 books a month, 6, 7, or 8 books. So 16 is so much. That is just so much for me. Because even right now, what's today? April 16th, I have read 4 books. And actually, the 4th book, I'm reading it right now. And I'm almost done. I'm going to finish it today. But I've read 4 books and it's the 16th. So I'll probably read 7 or 8 books this month. On my April TBR, I had 10 books knowing that I would miss a couple of those and those would end up being on my May TBR. But I just wanted to preface by saying that I don't usually read 16 books in a month. That is very uncommon for me. I barely remember reading this first book I'm going to talk about. It's called Bound by Treason by Eliza Tilton, and it's short. It's 122 pages. I don't even remember it being that short. I remember not liking it and it feeling very long, but I guess it's really short. It's free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the United States, and it's a fae bodyguard romance or something that I thought would be right up my alley. It has between a 3.1 and a 3.4 star rating across Amazon and Goodreads. I don't know, it's a very low 3-star rating, and it has over 2,500 reviews, so not that many, not a ton. It came out in June of 2023 and I just remember not liking this book. I'm pretty sure I gave the book 3 stars because I'm kind. This was a 2-star book for me, but I know on Kindle, I'm pretty sure I rated it 3 stars. I've never rated anything less, but it was a 2 for me in my heart. I didn't like the writing. The romance was not very fleshed out. It was very light. It was more, even the mystery part of it, it just wasn't good for me. It wasn't good. It's about Queen Mora, and she has 4 kids, I think, and 3 of them die within a year of each other. So I mean, every 3 or so months, another daughter is passing away. So 3 daughters all die under just these weird circumstances, and she's trying to figure out who is murdering her children because the autopsies don't show anything nefarious. There's no foul play, and she just knows, though, this is not normal. I mean, hello, that's not normal. And then her husband is the Dragon King of the Fae, I think is how the synopsis worded it. He's awful and he's cheating on her, and this is in the synopsis, so that's not a spoiler. He's got all these mistresses. I think his 2 main ones are twins. I think they were twin mistresses. And Queen Mora he doesn't want to help her. She's trying to figure out what's happening to their kids while their kids keep passing away. And then this royal guard, his name is Talus, he is trying to protect the queen because, you know, if all of her children are dropping like flies, maybe the queen is going to drop next. We don't know. So he's trying to figure out alongside her what is going on with all of her children. The one child that's left, she's trying to protect. I don't even remember if that child was a daughter or a son. I want to say the child that's left, the one single child, is a son, and she sends him away to live with someone else. And then there's like a time jump, and I think he's grown up now, like an older teenager. Maybe he's 17, 18 years old, and he hates his mom because she sent him away, but she did it to protect him. I don't know. It was just very weird. It was all over the place. They're just doing all these quests around the castle, trying to figure out what's happening to, or what had happened to her daughters. Sorry, I'm so tongue-tied. I did not like that book. And then in the middle of all of that, you know, there's definitely infidelity because the husband is cheating on her with his mistresses, but then she starts, I don't know, she starts having feelings for this royal guard who's also her childhood best friend. So a lot of tropes in here, but it wasn't good. I'm so sorry. I don't like speaking bad about books. I mean, you wrote a book, Mrs. Tilton. Good for you. That's amazing. I've never written a book before, but it wasn't for me. So we'll just say 3 stars, Bound by Treason. Read it or don't. It's a pretty quick read though, 122 pages, free on KU if you're in the States. The second book that I read in January was Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. Okay, sometimes I think I mix up Elle Kennedy and Kennedy Ryan, but I thought Elle Kennedy was really revered in the book world, but I have read quite a few of her books, and they're all just 3-star average meh reads. So that's what I gave Good Girl Complex. It has over 116,000 reviews. It's got between a 3.6 and a 4.1 star across Goodreads and Amazon, and it came out in February of 2022. And it's also lengthy for a new college romance novel because she's 20. I don't remember how old the male is, the other character, but she's 20 years old. She's still in college, but it's 364 pages, which is just, our romance books getting longer and longer. Why? I mean, I like just a good 300-page book. You just get together, you maybe fight a little, figure things out, and then get together again and end up staying together. But it's free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States. I always want to preface that by saying in the States because I live in Japan, but my Kindle is still connected to America. So I'm still getting free books on KU because over here I would not get them. But this book, it's about Mackenzie and Cooper, and it starts off on a bet. I'm trying to remember what all I can and can't tell y'all. So Mackenzie is a 20-year-old, pretty much trust fund baby, very rich girl. She launched a business on the side that her parents know about, but they don't fully know how lucrative this business is. I guess she's launched this multi-million-dollar business. It's some internet startup, it's a website, and she's doing extremely well, but her parents, I guess, don't realize how well she's doing, and so she wants to drop out of college. She doesn't want to go. I mean, what's the point? She's already a multimillionaire. But her parents they're insistent that she stay in college. So I guess she took some time off and then comes back to college. So I think when she's starting at 20 years old, I think she's a freshman. And she has this boyfriend that she's had for forever. He's awful. He's always cheating on her. But in this whole trust fund baby group with Mackenzie and that guy, that's the thing. The guys always cheat on the girls, but the girls stay with them. They just kind of turn a blind eye. It's very weird. I'm like, is that rich people drama? Is that what rich people do? The girls are just sitting there in their cute little dresses, having their mimosas while their men go out and gallivant around the city. And then as long as they come home to me, it's fine. Her whole friend group, they're fine with it. They're all getting cheated on and it's not a big deal. Well, Mackenzie doesn't believe that she's getting cheated on until proof gets put right in front of her face. Well, then she meets Cooper, and it's not by chance. Cooper is from this area, Avalon Bay, and he's a local, and they make fun of all the rich, snooty kids that go to this college that's, I guess, in Avalon Bay. And his friends dare him, I guess, to get with Mackenzie, even though she has a boyfriend. But remember, her boyfriend's cheating on her. And so their whole relationship, it just starts off not on the greatest foot, and she has no idea. She doesn't know that this is a bet going on with Cooper. Cooper also has a twin brother who's the bad boy, but Cooper's also not that great. I know Cooper gets fired from his job. He ends up getting into a fight with Mackenzie's boyfriend at the bar, and the boyfriend, since he's so rich and his daddy has all these lawyers lined up on speed dial, I guess he could get the bar shut down, and so Cooper just has to allow getting fired over this fight that shouldn't have happened in the first place. I think the boyfriend was touching somebody, a waitress, a server girl, inappropriately, and so Cooper hit him. I don't know. This book was just, it was not for me. I wasn't super into it. I mean, it was all right. It was January, so it was still really cold, and I go on walks every day. I love walking outside, for my mental health. But I was walking on the treadmill in our office, and so I would just read it on my Kindle while I was walking, and I usually walk for about 45 minutes or so every day, and that's how I read this book. That's how I digested it, and not the greatest. Not my favorite. I think I ended up reading the second book in this series in February, but anyways, Good Girl Complex, 3 stars. It was okay. The third book that I read in the month of January was oh my gosh, this book is called Gilded Wings. It's by Jamin Eve. It had just released in November of 2023, so it had only been out for about 2 months. Again, free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States. 366 pages. I've never read from this author before. It had over, I think, 11,000 reviews, and it has right now between a 4.0 and a 4.4 star rating, something like that, in the 4s. I gave it a 3 because it kept making me laugh, but this was just not the book that I thought I would want. The publisher, I guess, I was going to say they leaked. They didn't leak anything, but the publisher gave us a photo, like a fanfic photo. I'll post it for y'all. But it's a librarian, or she works in a library. I don't think she's actually a librarian, but she works in a library, and then he's a dragon shifter god, and it's just the hottest photo. And I thought, wow, this girl that works in a library and a dragon shifter god, sign me up. I will absolutely read this. No, this book was bananas. I want y'all to read it because I just kept laughing out loud at the absurdity of it. And it's just making me laugh right now. Please read this book. Please read it. Morgan works at this private library with one other person, this other woman, and they are best friends. I mean, they're so close. They live together. And the library, it's very weird. There's never any customers, but there's always books that are checked out and then being returned, and they just appear when they are returned in this bin, I guess, that's upstairs. And so they have to put all these ancient tomes back in their spots where they go, and it's just whatever. It's a private library, and it's being funded by some private entrepreneur person who has all the money, and so she's not questioning it. Well, she gets drunk with her coworker / best friend / roommate. They go out one night, they have a lot to drink, they go home, they pass out. Morgan's phone rings in the middle of the night, and I mean, maybe it's 3 a.m, I don't know. It's in the middle of the night, she's wasted, and she answers the phone because it's the library calling her. Drager Field Library is calling her phone. So she answers it, and she hears this voice on the other end, this alluring, enticing voice saying, "There's a book missing." And she's just thinking, no, there's not. No one checked out any books. I definitely didn't take a book home. My roommate didn't take a book home. I've put all the books back. Everything was back where they needed to go before I left. There's no book missing. And the person hangs up on her, and she's thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna get fired. I need to go there right now. So she takes an Uber to her job in the middle of the night and walks in, and there's like this party going on. I guess the library is the middle ground between the human world and the fae world. And so the library is busy, but it's busy after human hours. So right now at 3-4 in the morning, this ungodly hour, that's when the library is popping off and there's a party going on, and she's just there to find this missing book because she doesn't want to get fired. Well, then something happens, the air changes, I don't know, and then all of a sudden everyone basically goes into heat and just becomes rabid, and you just have to find the first person that you can, and that's who you're gonna be banging for the next 30 days. I guess in the fairy world it's a few hours. I think in human world it's a month. And Morgan happens to be there, and the guy Drager, he's the Dragerfield Library, he's that guy, he's there while she's trying to figure out what book is missing, and he's just tells her, we have to have sex now, and we have to have sex for the next month in human world hours. And apparently he's so big, his part is, I don't know, the size of a couch, that he has to stretch her out. They have to go through exercises. It is, but y'all, it's bananas. This world is bananas. And then he can't let her go because now she's a human and she knows about what's going on at this library. And so he whisks her away to his universe, and she's trying to escape, but she's also kind of falling for him. It's very insta-love, insta-lust. And there's more scenes with them having sex with his giant schlong and him having to stretch her out. This book, just read it. It kept making me laugh. Oh my gosh, I was laughing so much just because it's so absurd. I can't, those are the two words of this book, absurd and ridiculous, and you just need to read it for that. Please read it and then let me know what y'all thought of it, because I was laughing the whole time. I mean, this was a 2-star book, but because I was giggling so much at how awful and terrible this book was, I gave it a 3-star. Y'all, I think I'm gonna have to break this January wrap up into 2 videos. So there's 16 books. I think I'm gonna tell y'all about 8 now, and then I'll post the other 8 because this is already turning into such a long video. And I love long form content, and I love content that you don't necessarily have to have your eyes glued to your phone to consume it. I just love putting in my AirPods and then going on my walk or cleaning the apartment and just digesting YouTube videos, because I don't listen to podcasts, but I treat YouTube videos like a podcast. But even though I love long form content, that doesn't mean that you love it. So wrap-ups are usually pretty quick. I can't snap with my left fingers even though I'm left-handed, but wrap-ups are normally wrapped up rather quickly. And I know I'm telling y'all so much about these books, but that's just me. I like to talk about books, but I'm just gonna tell y'all about the first 8, and then in the next video I'll tell y'all about the next 8. So the next book that I read, the 4th book, y'all, I got into Sarah J Maas, into the ACOTAR world. Holy cow. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses in December of 2023, but then in January I read her next book, A Court of Mist and Fury. Y'all, God bless us all. Oh my gosh, I am so obsessed with this series. This book had me in a chokehold. Sorry, the fan is on me. It's very hot in Japan. It's very humid in April. This book has over 2 million reviews. One of them was mine. And it has between a 4.7 and a 4.8 star rating across Amazon and Goodreads. I gave it 5 stars. I bought it on Kindle because, again, we had just moved here to Japan in November. And so all of the books that I physically owned, I had read. And I just kind of made peace with the fact that I'm not going to be able to read physical books for the next 2 years that we're here via the military. My husband is in the Navy, and I didn't know that in Tokyo, a couple of hours away, there was a foreign language bookstore that sells books in English, including all of the ACOTAR books. But I didn't know any of this in January, so I purchased it on Kindle. It was $8. That's pretty cool. Also, this book is 8 years old. It came out in May of 2016. So next month, in May of 2024, it'll be 8 years old. But this book has gained so much popularity, or this series, I swear, in the last couple of years, but maybe it's been popular for the last 8. I have no idea. But I became such a fangirl. I read the first ACOTAR book in December, and then I read 3 more of the books in January, and I just fell in love with this world and fell in love with Feyre and Rhysand, and Oh my gosh. And it's a long book, y'all. It's 641 pages. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this book if you haven't read the first one. So in this second book, we start with Feyre having PTSD. She's always waking up in the middle of the night. She's always throwing up. She's having nightmares. And Tamlin, her boo thing, he just doesn't seem to care. He's not, I don't know. I liked him in the first book. I didn't love him, but I liked him. And then the second book comes along and they're together. They're at the spring court. And I don't know. He just became a different person. Like, he just stopped caring about her. And I think they were staying in separate rooms. I mean, this was months ago when I read this. I think they had separate bedrooms also. There's a side character named Lucian, and I love him. He lives with them. But Feyre, she's just thrown up all the time. In the first book, there were some trials that she had to undergo, and in order to win one of them, or maybe to be healed so that she could continue in the trials, she makes a deal with another Fae. His name is Rhysand, and he just says, you have to spend 1 week a month with me. I think that was the deal that was made. She has to spend 7 days with him every month. And so in the second book, Feyre and Tamlin are preparing for their wedding. And Rhys comes and takes her away. He's like, a deal is a deal, and you have to come with me for 7 days. So he interrupts that. Rhys interrupts a lot of things. He's a misunderstood character. And they're not even together at the beginning of this book. They don't even get together till like 3/4 into the book. But that's just what the book is about. The book is between Feyre and Tamlin, and then Feyre being whisked away to the night court with Rhysand every month for a week, and then her potentially falling for him. And then there's just all these things in the middle. There's so many characters. There's so many things and monsters, and the surreal. I don't know. I don't know what all I can tell y'all and what I can't. This book is 8 years old, so I mean, if I'm not spoiling it for y'all, someone is. So I don't want to say too much. Maybe I've already said too much, but I love this book. 5 stars. 5 stars. Book number 5 in the month of January was the continuation of the ACOTAR series. So I read the third book in that world, called A Court of Wings and Ruin. 5 stars again. 5 stars. I purchased it on my Kindle. It was $8. It's long. This one was 721 pages, and this book is 7 years old. So it came out in May of 2017. So next month it'll be 7 years old. And I think it's got over 1.7 million reviews between Amazon and Goodreads, and it has between, I believe, a 4.5 and a 4.8 star rating. Again, 5 stars from me. Not sure what all I can tell y'all about this book either, because it is the third in a series. I'm sure all of y'all know at this point that Feyre and Rhysand are together. She's no longer with Tamlin. I don't even think that's a spoiler at this point, because this is, 7-8 years in the making. And plus all the fan art it just shows Feyre and Rhysand. I mean, even when I read the first book, I thought, I don't think she ends up with Tamlin though, right? So in this book, there's a war looming. There's this king, and he's awful. And I had to go back and read the synopsis so I could figure out what to tell y'all. So Feyre has been tasked with, actually, I think this is her idea. She has tasked herself with deceiving Tamlin. I think she goes back to the spring court to pretend that she wants to be with him, and then just messes the spring court up. She does a lot. I don't want to tell y'all. It's so good. And then she runs back to Rhysand, and then I don't know, there's a war going on. They're finding allies that they didn't know would be allies, and then people who they thought were on their side are actually the enemy. There's always twists and turns. It's a fantasy book. It's so good though. 5 stars. That's all I'm gonna say. Just read them all. The 6th book that I read in the month of January was Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles. This is supposed to be a romantic suspense book. It's free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States. It came out, when I read it in January, it had come out 1 year ago. So it came out in January of 2023, and it's a whole series. They're all free on KU. The books are beautiful. The real books, they're shiny, but it's got over 35,000 reviews. I mean, it has a lot of reviews, and it has between 4.2 and 4.4 stars across Amazon and Goodreads. I gave it a 3-star. It's also lengthy for, you know, a romance book or romantic suspense. It's 369 pages, but it was just, is cheesy the word? I mean, at one point, actually multiple points, this happens so many times, this girl is always crying. She is the victim. She's such a victim. I cannot stand that. Is that even a trope? I don't think that's a trope, but this girl just, woe is me. And there was one scene, she's outside and she slides down the side of her truck and she's rocking back and forth and crying and just saying, I can't do this. I thought it'd be easy to see you, but it's not. Rolling my eyes. Rolling my eyes. The book is about this woman, Ren, who dated this guy, Holt. I guess they dated when they were teenagers. Again, y'all, it is April right now, and I'm talking about January. They dated a long time ago. I think they were teenagers when they dated. Hardcore in love. We're gonna be together forever. Talks of the future, children, a marriage, all the things. And then something happens. Her house gets broken into or something, and he's supposed to come over and have dinner, but he's late, and he's always late. That's just his thing. And then this time that he's late, I don't think she was assaulted. I could be wrong. I don't think she was assaulted, but he gets there too late. We'll say that. And then I don't think anyone was ever arrested for the crime. So that's been looming. And then Holt just disappears. He thinks it's his fault, that he wasn't there to save her. And so he just runs away and becomes a Marine, or I don't know, he joins the military, and he's gone for 10 plus years. And then he comes back to this town, and I don't even remember why he came back to this small town. And then stuff starts happening again. People are getting murdered, and they're thinking, does this have anything to do with what happened 10 years ago? I don't even remember why they thought there might be a connection with that. And then something happens with Ren, and she gets kidnapped, and it's just, y'all, she just plays the victim, and it just frustrated me. And he just played like the brooding hero, but then he wasn't a hero because he disappeared for 10 years, and he just was sulking the whole time and always kept a photo of her in his pocket, and just thought, it's my fault that this happened to you so long ago. I had to get away from you to make sure you never got hurt again. That makes no sense. None of it made sense. I was not into it, but people seem to really like this series. So I do have the second book downloaded on my Kindle. I have not read it, but I don't know, people seem to really enjoy this series, and they're all free on KU. So I don't know, I'm still gonna give it a shot, but this one was just not, it just wasn't good. Book number 7 is Harry Potter and I almost said the Philosopher's Stone, the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you're from. But Harry Potter, the first book, y'all, this came out in 1997. This came out 27 years ago. I'm 37, so I was 10 years old when this came out. I never read any of the Harry Potter books. I never saw any of the movies. I want to say I maybe started the first book and then didn't finish it. And then I think I possibly watched a little bit of the first movie and wasn't into that either. But y'all, my husband, such a Harry stan, has read all the books multiple times. He purchased them all on his Kindle. He has his own Kindle, but they're all free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States. But he purchased them all. He's seen all the movies multiple times. Again, he's read the books multiple times, and he brings it up a lot. Like, are you ever going to read Harry Potter? We should go to Harry Potter World, like the making of Harry Potter. It's in Tokyo. And then Harry Potter World at Universal Studios in Japan, which we did. We just went. And y'all, and I've read the first 3 books, but in January, I read the first one, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I think that's what it is. It's just under 400 pages, maybe 345 pages. I know Amazon has been wrong with that, because Amazon told me a different number for the 4th book, and I thought it was 300 pages, and I guess it's like 700 pages. So I don't know. Amazon says 345, whatever. I read that in January. It has over 10 million reviews. 10 million reviews between Amazon and Goodreads, and it has between a 4.5 and a 4.8 star rating. I gave the book 5 stars, y'all. I love this world. Like I said, I've also read the second and the third book now as of April, but I'm so enamored. It's, what would you say, fantasy? I was gonna say magical realism, because in the human world you're called a muggle and the humans don't know about the witches and the wizards, but I think it's more than magical realism. It is a fantasy world, because when you're at their academy at Hogwarts, that's all fantasy. Y'all, if y'all don't know about this book by now, please pick it up. They're free on KU in the States. The first book is about Harry figuring out that he's a wizard. He starts receiving all these letters from a place called Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And he lives with his aunt, uncle, and his cousin. Is that what it's called? His aunt and uncle have a son. So I guess, yeah, I think that's his cousin. Because the aunt's sister was Harry's mother, and his mom and dad were murdered by he who must not be named, Lord Voldemort. And he starts receiving all these letters from Hogwarts, and his aunt and uncle just keep throwing them away. They're evil. They're vile people, and so is his cousin Dudley. Awful. And then one day, this giant burly man, this man is like 10 feet tall, he's massive, Hagrid shows up and says, Harry, you're a wizard, and we have a spot for you at Hogwarts, and you will be starting right after your 11th birthday. So by the time he turns 11, towards the end of summer, he begins his first year at Hogwarts, and it's just his little shenanigans that he gets into as a cute little 11-year-old, and he meets Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, his friends that are going to be his friends for the next, the 7 years that they're at this school. And it's precious, y'all. Please read it. Okay, the last book that I'm going to talk about for this video, so the first half of my January wrap up, book number 8 is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I'm not sure how to say his last name. This is a paranormal thriller / horror book. There are some horror parts. I'm not a huge horror fan. There was one part with a needle. Couldn't. Okay, it's free on Kindle Unlimited if you're in the States. It has over 291,000 reviews between Amazon and Goodreads, so I mean, that's really good. It came out 2 years ago in May of 2022, and it has between a 4.1 and a 4.4 star rating or something like that. I give it 4 stars. I really liked it. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. It was very fast paced, and I just kept reading it. I read it very quickly. I want to say I read it in a day and a half. It's just under 400 pages. I think it's 375 pages. I've never read anything from this author before. Stephen King blurbed this book, but y'all, I usually don't believe other authors when they blurb books. I have opened multiple books and seen the same blurb from the same author on multiple books for another author, and I thought, okay, so did you like all 4 of these books in this series and you said the exact same thing? I don't ever believe it. But Stephen King, the king of horror, Stephen King blurbed it, but again, what's up with the pronunciation? It says, I loved it. Stephen King. I loved it, period. But then from the publisher, I loved it with an exclamation point. Did you love it or did you love it? I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there that I don't ever really believe those, but Stephen King blurbed this book. This book is about a woman named Mallory who's fresh out of rehab, so a little hard to find a job. She finds a job in childcare. There's a family that has a 5-year-old son named Teddy. Teddy needs a nanny. So Mallory moves in. She moves into it's like a guest house in their backyard, or a cottage in their backyard. She moves in to take care of Teddy, all day, every day, essentially. And Teddy is just a cute little shy 5-year-old boy. He's never without his sketchbook and his pencil, and he's always drawing the usual fare, rabbits, trees, balloons. And then one day, he draws a picture of this area, forest, woods, and he draws a man dragging a woman's lifeless body. And Mallory thinks, oh, okay, did you have a bad dream? Did you see this in a movie? Did you pick up a book and read something? I mean, he's 5. But she just thinks, okay, that's something. Well, then all of his drawings start to become very sinister, very dark. They're very lifelike. Definitely nothing drawn by a 5-year-old. And she's wondering if there's something paranormal at play that's getting him to draw these. And then she's also wondering if there's some sort of unsolved murder that is being relayed through Teddy into these photos that Mallory needs to solve. It is good, y'all. The book is really good. It gets creepy. In the Kindle book, you see all the pictures, so I'm sure in the physical book it's even better. And it's really good. Y'all should read it. I gave it 4 stars. You do have to suspend your belief. There's some paranormal aspects in there. There's some talk of religion. Just open your mind. And it was really good. It was 4 stars. But anyways, thank y'all for coming along with me on this January reading wrap-up journey. I told you about the first 8 books. I'll do another video talking about the next 8. I don't want this to be too long. If y'all like long-form content, let me know. I love posting long-form content and I love consuming it. But anyways, y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye.